Everyone, welcome back. Today we want to look at Lucid. Is Lucid the worst EV stock to buy this year in 2024? Is it the worst investment idea or decision that one could ever make? Now, understand this is a fair assessment. This is a fair question. And before we continue, let me just say this video is not financial advice. It's strictly for educational purposes. The Lucid Group has recently been removed from a major stock index. Furthermore, Lucid Group assembled an unimpressive number of vehicles in Saudi Arabia. Investors shouldn't consider buying Lucid for the coming years. This is what Investment Place has to say, by the way. How many vehicles exactly have Lucid produced in the Saudi Arabian factory? And besides, it's the first year of production in that factory. That factory was just built. So it would be unrealistic to expect them to build out a large number of EV factory just yet. Lucid wasn't a great idea in 2023 for many reasons. They just didn't deliver a lot of vehicles, and we know that, of course. So the question is, will this year be better? Will 2024 be a better year for Lucid in terms of building vehicles? Will they build a lot more vehicles? We're waiting for Lucid to start competing with the likes of Polestar. We're waiting for them to compete with Rivian, at least with Polestar and Rivian. What we've seen so far is that Lucid doesn't really seem to be anywhere close to building that much vehicles comparing with Polestar or Rivian. It's not difficult to see why some Lucid investors have completely given up on the stock. For one thing, Lucid Group is 2 to 4 years away from significantly ramping up production volumes, according to Stifel analyst Stefan Generado. Furthermore, citing soft demands for Lucid Group's vehicles, Needland analyst Chris Pierce lowers its rating on Lucid stock from a buy to hold. Moreover, these aren't the only red flags that Lucid investors have to contend with. In the future, into the new year, it's likely to be a rough road ahead for the Lucid Group and its stockholders. I certainly agree with this. I think it's going to be quite difficult for 2024 for the Lucid Group. Why am I smiling, however? Well, I'll tell you why. I recently bought one Lucid stock, and I did that deliberately. After the Lucid Gravity was unveiled, I was very impressed with the vehicle. In terms of the EV department, the EV SUVs department, I think this Lucid Gravity vehicle will be very much a success if they can build them in great numbers. And if the price range is competitive to its competitors, there's a lot of competitors and it's only getting more. So I bought one Lucid share. Now I'm smiling because I would very much like the share price to go down further in 2024 because I want a big discount. I'm hoping that the share price goes down another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, as much as possible, to be honest, because I'd like another discount. And I've been waiting quite a while to get a Lucid share. I waited until it was as cheap as possible, until I knew the time was right. I was leaving myself less risk. And this is why from time to time, I just like to buy one share or a fraction of a share, just hold a small position in the company, just to test the waters, just to see if the share price, when it will go down, how much will it go down, could I get a big discount? That's just my strategy anyway. But I'm doing the same thing with Lucid. I've done the same thing with Tesla and Netflix, and I had tremendous gain. In fact, I've never sold Netflix share or Tesla shares without a positive return. So that's just my strategy. But I'm trying something with Lucid. I do think that the vehicle and the technologies is great, but they lack the ability to attract buyers. They lack the ability to compete in the market that they're setting their cars in. This is a very competitive market. It's the luxury, top of the line, top range market. Vehicles around these prices, around 75 grand to 90 grand. The Lucid Sapphire is like a $250,000 car. That's not cheap in the slightest demand. And it's a competitive market out there, so you must be able to compete. Don't get me wrong. The Lucid vehicle technology is very much impressive. The luxury, the looks of this thing is very much impressive. But I do think that they still have a long way to go to catch up to competitors. And I'm not just talking about EV competitors. I'm talking about legacy automakers such as Mercedes, BMW, Audi. It's not easy to beat those guys. The Germans are really good at making vehicles, especially luxury vehicles, very fast luxury vehicles. So I do think that Lucid can be a great company in terms of building electric vehicles. They really have the type of vehicles that look very different from anything you can find in the market. That alone is already a good thing. And I can see what Lucid is trying to do. They're trying to compete with the likes of Porsche and also Audi for some reason. Polestar is trying to compete with Porsche. And that's what a lot of EV brands are going for. They're going for that high-end market because that's where you can make the most margins on your vehicles. Rivian is trying to compete a little bit with Tesla, but you can definitely see they're trying to compete with Range Rover as well, Range Rover, Land Rover, for sure, because those vehicles, they're almost in the categories. They're so similar. It's undeniable. So essentially what the article here is saying is that the Lucid cars are great looking, but fancy cars are not enough to win over the electric market. And that's true. People are looking for affordable electric car right now. People still want to buy electric car. They want to buy a lot of electric cars, but they're not affordable yet. Should Lucid actually try to pursue this direction? I think they should, of course, because if you look at Mercedes, Audi, BMW, yes, they make electric cars. Yes, they make expensive cars, but you know what? They also make affordable cars. All of these brands, they make affordable cars, yet they're known for making really nice, expensive, luxurious cars. But they definitely make cars in the 25 grand range, 30 grand range. They do. And any company out there who's able to compete in this area will have huge benefits, such as Tesla, such as BYD. Polestar is looking to compete in this area. Volvo is competing in this area with the Volvo EX30. That thing will be a great competitor in the EV space. The size of that vehicle compared to the amount it costs, I think people will rush to buy that EV. I think it's going to be a popular one amongst consumers, and for good reasons. So it's saying here fancy cars won't be enough to rescue Lucid stock in 2023. I think they meant 2024. Looking ahead, Lucid Group's vehicles are not guaranteed to be strong sellers in the coming year. The Lucid Air Pure rear-wheel drive has a starting price of $77,000. This means the actual purchase price for customers will also certainly be higher than that. My goodness. They are not cheap cars at all, to say the least. So let's just refresh our memory on Lucid's 2023 overall projection for the entire year. Production outlook for 2023 was revised between 8,000 to 8,500 vehicles from a prior guidance of more than 10,000 vehicles. We're not entirely sure how much vehicles were actually produced by Lucid in 2023 in total. That hasn't been released yet. And we're not entirely sure how many vehicles they built in the Saudi Arabia's full factory. However, what I do have, a recent tweet by Lucid. First Sapphire delivery. 5 lucky customers took delivery of the first Lucid Air Sapphire, a stunning electric super sedan at Sonoma Raceway, and got an exclusive track experience with original Stig Ben Collins. They also said, we expanded our presence globally, making a significant milestone with the launch of the Advanced Manufacturing Plant 2, the Saudi Arabia's first purpose-built EV manufacturing facility, contributing to the future of sustainable mobility. But no information really on how much vehicles they built in that factory just yet. I don't really mind it being a low number. I just like the fact that they're building more factories and they're looking to ramp it up. It does take a while to ramp up factories. We all remember Tesla getting the Model 3 along the assembly line. We all remember production hell. Based on a headline by Reuters, says that Saudi has assembled 800 cars in the Saudi plant factory, focusing on training. Okay, so they're focused on training and they're focused on ramping up this factory. 800 is actually more than 800 vehicles is actually more than I expected. 800 vehicle is more than I expected, to be honest. So that's a positive for Lucid. At least they're training their members of the factory to build these vehicles correctly. These vehicles are very expensive, so building them correctly is really important. Quality over quantity is certainly a good idea starting out for a lot of electric vehicle companies. Until you are very confident in yourself and building more volumes, focusing on quality is not a bad idea. You know, Tesla did that for quite some time until they had to focus on quantity. They had to focus on quantity in the Model 3 and Model Y production because they've gotten so good at building vehicles. They decided, you know what, we can focus on quantity. And if we mess up here or there, we can get a car changed, we can get the car fixed. We'd rather deal with that, but get the cars delivered at least. That was the most important thing. So low delivery numbers for Lucid, but also very low revenue, extremely low revenue. Q3 of 2023, they only pulled in $137 million. So we have no idea how much they're going to pull in at the end of Q4 2023. To be honest, it looks like they're underperforming compared to 2022. The last 2 quarters of 2022, they were doing better. And we thought that would continue, but it didn't. It did not continue. It wasn't even close. It was almost half in revenue. From Q4 of 2022 to Q1 of 2023, it was almost half. And they do have a substantial debt, but at least they got some cash on hand. At least they've got huge backing from the Saudi government, from the Saudi investment group, from the Saudi public investment fund. At least they've got funding from that. Market value is currently at 9 billion, and I'm looking for this to drop. Continue dropping, please. I want another discount. But listen, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.